This is a View from the Bridge, official podcast of the Belfast Giants for kingdomofthegiants.com. Today's Tuesday, the 12th of October, 2021. Oh, it's nearly 16 years of View from the Bridge, just looking at that date. Anyway, my name is Patrick Smith. Welcome to another podcast. Of course, you can catch us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, on your normal podcast provider, or on YouTube, where, hello, if you're watching on YouTube, we'll give you a wave. You see our faces, videos, and all that sort of stuff. There's been quite a good response to the YouTube stuff of late, and putting some stuff on Twitter. If you're enjoying the YouTube stuff, do let us know. Otherwise, we'll stop wasting our time. A 4-point weekend for your Belfast Giants against the Fife Flyers. They've cemented their place in the quarterfinal of the Challenge Cup and witnessed the debut of two local 17-year-old lads whose praises we were only just singing last week. Somebody's stuff's just all falling on the floor. Is that you, Mr. Gillespie?
Just need a bit of charge here, mate. For those doing it on like their Apple, will not see what I've done. But
yes,
those watching YouTube will see the professionalism that we.
It's the sort of professionalism we always have here in from each and every one of us. This week, the Giants kick off their defence of the 2019 Elite League Championship with games in Cardiff and Coventry. The second that game in Coventry being their first appearance on Premier Sports of the season. We've got a hell of a show ahead of you. We've got Aaron Murphy talking about that Premier Sports appearance. We're talking to Mark Garside in your fan agenda, and we've got a few of the interviews from training, but we'll start off introductions. Mr. David Gillespie, how are you today?
Paddy, I'm feeling a little bit nostalgic tonight. I've got to be honest, when you say about like coming up on 16 years of AVFTB, and I remember running around the block with this little MP3 player with one AA battery in it, and just headphones, listening to you and Aaron and Fish and Jago, whoever was on back in the day, and wondering would I ever get the call up, and then the call up came. I don't know how many we've done, hundreds and hundreds of these later. But also talking of anniversaries, I know Neil Russell likes reminding this one. It's 8 years ago today from Bonegate. Now, not everybody that listens to the podcast will know that I broke my leg badly broke my leg. I probably haven't said very much on the podcast about it ever, but this day 8 years ago. Double break of the leg, still got the ironwork in there, which beeped in Aldergrove last week when I was home following the Giants, which just reminds me whenever I forget, it's still in there. So TV's Neil the Coach Russell would want to know. So just, I
didn't realize you broke your leg, man. Those long-time listeners of A View from the Bridge, they'll know that talking about Davy's broken leg and not remembering Davy is an ongoing ding on this show. As is I did an AVFTB live from the hospital. I didn't miss a shift. No, you did not, mate. No, and that's why you're so highly thought of on this show, mate. It's the in a hospital in Bristol, still got the phone out, still got the recording going. I'm messing it out. And here's Joel. And anybody watching on YouTube can see that Joel's wearing a Boston Red Sox shirt.
Great week for sport, Patrick. Great week for sport, mate. Yeah, well, how are you doing?
I'm all right, mate. How are you?
Actually, talking about?
Mate, it's Rounders. You wouldn't care.
I'm an adult. I don't watch that stuff.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Paddy, before we get on to hockey, how was your weekend at Spurs Stadium?
I have to say, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium was absolutely stunning. The game was a bit of a one-sided affair, and I'm sick and tired of hearing this screeching noise and being told that it was Falcons' first down. I was at the NFL on Sunday down at watching New York Jets against the Falcons. Are you involved in this, Davey? Does this interest you at all?
The way I have done the American sports, because of my first American sports team, Detroit Red Wings, I just went with a city. So is it the Tigers?
Lions.
Tigers
football, Tigers
baseball. The Lions.
So couldn't tell you if they've had a home run this season or a touchdown, but I know the Wings start soon, so I'll be back on them.
Well, I went down on Sunday. 4 of us went down. We're all a bit of enjoy our NFL. We're on an NFL fantasy league, and we're all having a bit of jip with each other, which was very entertaining. It was a good trip down, and I have to say, like I say, Spurs Stadium is fantastic. And after about the 12th pint, it was still fantastic.
We'll got a few great messages from Patrick Smith on Monday morning, so I knew you'd had a good time.
Yes, I wouldn't like to be paying for 12 pints in that stadium.
Honestly, like, I know we're getting away from it a little bit, but like, first of all, the pint glasses fill from the bottom up. That was interesting to watch.
Magic.
If you look it up on YouTube, it was quite the systems. It's very, very good. But yeah, it was about £7 a pint, and all this sold was either Budweiser, nope, or Beavertown neck oil. Yep,
that's nice. That's good stuff.
It is nice, and there was a lot of that. But very brief story. Pub beforehand. Called The Ship on Tottenham High Street. And we went in, we were the first ones in there about lunchtime, and went up and ordered 4 pints of Moretti, brought them back, drink responsibly, kids, brought them back and set them on the table, and then thought to myself, hold on a minute. Not only was that really expensive, but £26.30 doesn't divide in 4.
Just pick a number out of the air, like.
Yeah. By the time I worked it out, the bar was full. There was no point going back up. But she charged me £6.57.5p each.
Listen, that's really tough. Anyway, we're thinking of you. Hope you're all right.
Listen, what can I say? It was a difficult day. It was a difficult day, and yesterday was even more difficult. Let's get on with it, boys. The Belfast Giants took on the Fife Flyers in 2 games, both away and home. We'll start with that away game. It was a 2-0 win, shutout victory for your Belfast Giants. Goals for the Giants coming from Mark Cooper and Jeff Baum, both in the second period. Shane Owen, 39 shots against, 2 goals against. Tyler Beskorowany, 23 shots against, no goals against. And your referees were Pavel Hallis and Robin Elliott. I think this is going to be a very brief conversation about this game because I don't think there was very much to talk about in this game other than the big story of it. And we talked about it last week when Sis was here. We'll say, big shout out to Sis. He's a bit of a cold tonight, so he's taking a bit of a break. But Sis was absolutely right, and you brought it up, Joel. Kel Beattie and Max Stewart, Davy, they've made their debut for the Belfast Giants on Friday night, wasn't it? Yeah, it was Friday night, and it was brilliant to see.
Indeed, and going into Sunday, but going to Friday first, I suppose we'll go on the back end first, and you'll Kel Beattie and lining up alongside Griffin Reinhart was probably like it's kind of kind of dream factory kind of stuff. So you look credit to them. I think Kel at about 3 minutes, 5, 6 shifts. Same with Mack, sort of 2, 3 minutes, 5, 6 shifts. Just blooded them, got them into the game early, got them a few shifts. Don't think Kel played very much in the second, but he was relied on in the third period when we're chasing that shutout. So, good for Kiefer and Stewie and Mason stuff to keep putting them out on the ice and give them a bit of responsibility. It was a game where not an awful lot happened. Let's be honest. The Giants carried the play. We did well in the face-off circuit. We had a lot of possession. We had a lot more shots than Fife. Besko, again, a bit like the Dundee game from the week before, dealt with everything that he had to deal with very well. His positioning is lovely. Comes out the top of the blue paint so well, Besko. And it was one of those where analysis is like, what do you want to talk about? It was a good transition goal. The first goal from Boucher was Boucher scored the first one, was it? So Boucher
the goals came from Cooper and Baum.
Cooper,
sorry.
So it's came off a rebound, I think, from Gary, and he's tucked it away. And then the second one's lovely. It's a lovely straight face-off win, and Baum's popped it in through a bit of traffic. So good first goal for him. I love seeing players that recognise little milestones like first goals, and I think it might have been Griffin Reinhart goes and gets the puck back for him for a little souvenir. And look, as I'll let Joel try and come up with something, but. Like a game where not an awful lot happened, 2-0.
I think we're going to breeze through this game because I think wasn't very much took place, Joel.
First period, literally nothing happened. The only penalty was just before the 10-minute mark when Craig Peacock, formerly this parish, took a tripping call. Fife had a decent penalty kill, I suppose, but as Davey says, Besko's just come in mid-season form, to be honest. He's already fantastic. That middle period is really the talking point, apart from seeing Mack and Kel get their first minutes. Mark Cooper did well for that goal at close range, and again, a night of firsts. You've got Mack playing his first game, you've got Kel Beattie playing his first game, you've got Mark Cooper scoring his first goal for the Giants, and you've got Bomber scoring his first Giants goal and first pro goal. So it was a wee night of milestones for the fact that it wasn't an overly box office game. Really, the talking point of the game was that Jeff Baum goal, just an absolutely beautifully taken finish, and it was worth sitting watching, to be honest. think Fife probably had their best period in the third. Besco was sort of tested on the penalty kill, bit of scrambling around his crease, but again, he was a match for it. And that third period really was so penalty heavy that nothing really developed. But boys, it's hard to call at the minute. Like, we've watched this Giants team pretty much play Dundee and Fife so far, and I don't mean to be rude. I really love Todd Diddyham as a person. I think he's a class guy, and Fife is a team with a lot of history. But let's be honest, they're in trouble, and I don't think they're a great measuring stick for where we're at, because we're going to play an awful lot better than that.
More of that talk when we come to talk about the next thing. I think you're absolutely right with regards to the bomb goal. I thought it was an absolute stunner. As I think you said that the LFGs per minute went through the roof.
the LFG PMs absolutely rocketed.
Yeah, absolutely through the roof. But you wouldn't have known it was bomb score, because I think the commentary described it as that Giants guy scoring that goal. Interesting commentary.
The less said, the better.
And on that, let's move on. The highlights from that game are available from Fife Flyers TV, and you check out that commentary for yourself. On to the game on Sunday, back at the SSE Arena. The Belfast Giants had the return game against the Fife Flyers and were victorious 6-2. The Giants' goals coming from Scott Conway in 12:54, a short-handed goal from Griffin Reinhart, an unassisted goal from Kieran Long in 25:09. Come back to that. Jordan Boucher, a power play goal. Scott Conway with the second of the game, and JJ Piccinich with a power play goal of 57:47. And for the Fife Flyers goals, Jacob Benson and Carson Stadnick on 49:06. With regards to in nets, Jackson Whistle 10 shots against. Just let that settle in.
Yeah, let that marinate.
Two goals against. Shane Owen only lasted 40 minutes, 28 shots against 4 goals. Andrew Little came in 20 minutes, 9 shots against 2 goals. Refs were Andrew Dalton and Shane Ali Ward. Is that new? That's a new one on me. I'll start with you, Joel. That was a dominant home performance against a team that weren't very good.
Yeah, look, I don't think the whole weekend we really got out of second, maybe third gear, to be honest. The Giants dominated every single facet of that game. We've talked in the last couple of shows about how quickly, and again, take all of this with a pinch of salt, because we're playing the same two teams over and over. There is a bit of quality in that Dundee team. I think Pash is doing very good work with what he's got at that club in terms of resources and the ability to put a competitive team together. But we do not have a complete measuring stick of who this Belfast Giants team are. There is certainly a lot of quality on display. 2 more power play goals, the first shorty of the season, and what a short-handed goal from Griffin Reinhart, breaking away, popping the water bottle into space, right on the buzzer of that second period for the first shorthanded goal of the season. That's an early season highlight moment. But to me, like our taking what I can from it, the special teams continue to click. I think we look really good on the cycle and the power play. There's a lot of movement. We've talked before about how static we would have looked in previous seasons whenever the special teams weren't just quite as firing as they are. And I hope that continues to develop. But again, they're not up against much, frankly. They're really just not. Kieran Long has the potential this season to hit the form that he did in Manchester. I know you want to talk about it, Paddy, and what led up to it. And Davey, I know you do as well. But that finish was utterly sublime. That's the Kieran Long that we signed and that we would have saw, I believe, if he'd had minutes beyond kind of the odd fourth line shift in that previous season. So those are the big talking points and the main highlights for me, apart from obviously the phenomenal, the memorable home debuts of Beattie and Mack Stewart.
Davey, that Kieran Long goal, you tweeted a video up for it that's sort of toiling its way on YouTube at the minute, but you put a video up on Twitter and about how it starts from West down the back and the pressure that's put on to get the puck back and then the long finish. It's marked down as an unassisted goal for Kieran Long, but the effort that was put in there from the young lads to get that and to create that goal can't go unrewarded.
Well, it is unassisted
yes.
In technical terms. West has kicked it out in the corner. Beattie's put it up the boards. Max put a bit of pressure on. 5 players going behind his net. Max put pressure on, but the D-mans came on and knocked the guy's stick out of his hand, and Longer does the rest from there. So yes, it is an unassisted goal. But as Simon said on commentary, getting a bit carried away, that Mack deserves an assist for that, and he does deserve a technical assist, if you like, that he put all the pressure on the D that forced the turnover. But as Joel said there, the lovely finish, the patience from Longer to fake the shot and drop inside and go off his feet and tuck it away is a real nice finish. And Longer's first game winning goal for the Belfast Giants. It's his first home goal for a long time. But if we're going back there to the start, I know the goals are rolling away here if you're watching it on the Facebook. I'm not sure about that when you put up about Scott Conway. I'm near sure Boucher gets the first goal. I don't see, unless it's hit him on the bum or something on the way in, I don't see Scott Conway has got anything on that. But that line of Conway and Piccinich and who else on the Boucher and somebody else on the power play. Conway, Piccinich. Come on. I've drawn a blank here. Good one. On the power play, Joel's talked about it there, and I'm pointing at the screen here, so this won't mean anything to anybody, but I can see the left circle. The work to do around that left circle and along the left half board to cut in and get across that. I think it's Conway comes in at the back, or it might be Piccinich for the one at the start of the third period. Special teams have been great. Over 70% on the face-off, which was critical. But you look at that first period, 5 of 2 shots with 33 shots on and off goal in that first period. So, if it just quickly, over the course of the game, you're looking 89 shots, 59 shots on goal for the 55 shots on goal for the Belfast Giants, 11 for 5. It was dominant the whole time. But you've got to caveat that a little bit with what Joel's saying. And this is not condescending. This is a poor Fife Flyers team at the minute. 3-3, granted for them. Sunday afternoon matinee performance where they've had 2 late night games and travel day. It's going to be difficult for them. And that's probably why OE's seeing 40 minutes rather than the whole game. Get the young lad in because, game's over. But at the same time, they're now out of the Challenge Cup after 3 weekends here. And, unfortunately for them, unfortunately for Doots, I think they're going to have to maybe go back to the drawing board a wee bit. Him and Jeff Hutchins are going to maybe have to go back into the pool. There's not an awful lot out there, I suppose, is the thing as well. Maybe people dropping out of camps and ECHL camps, AHL camps now. There might be a bit more in the market, but from talking to different people, the market's pretty dry at the minute. So, Fife have to recruit from somewhere. I think Joel talked about them, a few, European journeymen and stuff in there, and they show glimpses. They show glimpses of talent, but that's in very, very. They don't have any depth whatsoever, which is difficult for them. And Owen is going to see an awful lot of rubber this season, and they don't have depth in goaltending that perhaps the likes of Cardiff, Coventry, ourselves have. So it's going to be a very, very long season to be a Fife Flyer fan.
I think, sorry, Paddy, just on Shane Owen, I think it would be an awful lot worse without him between those pipes. Owe is a top lad and a great goalie. He flashed the glove a few times in that Sunday game, and he is sharp, but goodness me, there's just nothing in front of him. And I feel for him because he's a good goaltender that's not getting much help at the minute.
If we come back then, Paddy, to Kale and Mack with their home debuts, they've seen an awful lot more ice time on Sunday than they did on Friday, 12, 13, 14 minutes. What am I looking here at? 19 shifts, 12 shifts, so they saw a lot of ice time. And that line of, it was Hookie, Longer and Mack did great things going forward. Kel played it nice and simple at the back, did what he had to do. Very not he doesn't play the game like Mark Garside, but that smart play where he just gets the first pass out quick, gets it up the board if he has to get it up the board. He did everything tidy. Physicality is always going to go against these guys because they're young lads, they're only 17 and they don't have the body size. You see the likes of a 6'2", 6'4" forward coming in. It's a bit of a body mismatch, but their game is Badgers and they got stuck in there. You've seen Mack driving the net a few times. There's obviously the one incident, I don't know if you want to come back and talk about that, where he takes the goalie interference penalty. Longer feeds the puck back into him, but they weren't found wanting in any facet of their game, and brave as anything on those going into the blue paint. So I was impressed by their home debuts. I
think that's the fact, isn't it? It's the fact that, you're talking about 2 17-year-old lads who have put the effort in to get to the stage that they are now. And we spoke about this last week about the fact that they were, there was Mack was playing at Leeds and there was, they're getting experience and just looking for that chance to come back into the squad. And, due to injuries and due to being short of bench and trying to get the opportunity arose to bring the both of them in. And they didn't disgrace themselves in any shape, form or fashion. Not that we were expecting anything, but, they came in, they put a strong showing. the fact that they were, there was a brilliant interview, and I'll repost it on Twitter that Sis did directly after the game on Friday with the two lads, and you could see how buzzing they were, how excited they were to be part of it. You could see how excited that Adam Keefe was to be able to give these two young lads that chance, and that's exactly what we want from the game here at this moment. To have these two lads with thick Belfast accents hitting the ice with Belfast on the front of their shirt, and when they came, when it was let known to them that they were going to be coming back to play in Sunday, there were already games. Was it Kel said he had a game at Solway he was supposed to go for, but he wasn't going to be able to do that because he was going to be playing for the Giants on Sunday night. And the excitement from that, to be able to play in front of a home crowd at the SSE Arena with a Belfast Giants shirt on. I looked at these two 17-year-old kids and I thought to myself, I'm jealous. You know what I mean? I am jealous. What I wouldn't give for that position.
The two things I took out of that, Paddy, the pride that Adam Keefe had in his face, just listening to them, watching them, talking about their game and their experience that just had, he was loving it. He was loving it for them. 100%. And it's great that he's been in a position, he's maybe been thrust in that position because of Laker and Soy and who else was out injured? Oh, Darcy Murphy. If they were out injured, the guys don't get their chance, but they stood up, they took their chance. And it was great. And Max Stewart talking in his little interview about, he's grown up in that locker room. He's been with his dad there for his whole life, walking in and out of there year on year on year. And now he's walking in to his own stall. The path is set up from with his kit and just the way he wants it set up by Taff. Big nod to Taff again for all the work he does for us. But those kids are, as you say, am I jealous? Of course I am, because I'm jealous of every single Belfast Giant that's ever played, because they play for us because we can't, and that's why we support them. But what must that be like? Amazing that those guys that have been there their whole lives are so invested in this club are now Belfast Giants, and we're part of their elbow.
Line of the weekend for me, I was in the media room waiting to grab some audio for A View from the Bridge after the game. Sis was interviewing Adam for the official channels. Adam Keefe to me is just like the most fearless athlete I've ever met personally. Adam Keefe would chase a puck into hell. Do you know what I mean? He's not scared. He said, when I was 17 years old, I was playing 17-year-olds. Do you know what I mean? There's those two kids out there. And do you know what? Mack especially, I saw, even if he wasn't, making any impact, he was throwing that body. Even if he was bouncing off again, he was chucking that body. I don't think there was any malice in obviously coming down the real road on OE and sort of making contact in the crease. Lovely moment though, to be fair. One of those moments that you only get in hockey when Kieran Long just did not miss a beat and piling onto that. Do not touch the kid. I thought that was a lovely moment, just a nice moment of togetherness. But to go back to, and I think it's a little unfair on Kel, who obviously is completely equal in this. I think the pair of them were absolutely spectacular. Yes. But the stories that most of us will have are about Mack, because Mack was this cute little kid running about the arena behind his dad. He was on the ice in period breaks, even 10 years ago, whenever other kids are still learning to walk and he's pirouetting around the ice. He always had the feet. He always had the ability. I remember speaking to Rob Stewart in Lancashire after the Continental Cup in 2012. It was after that last evening. Yeah, I was going to say, it was after that last evening. A few libations had been took, and I had said to him, Stu, what about Mack? Look at the kid. He was born with skates on his feet. And Stu sort of looks around and thinks for a minute, and he goes, he needs to be bigger. That's always stuck with me. I was like, one day we will see that Stewart in a Stewart jersey in the Odyssey Ice, and I'm still pinching myself that it's kind of happened. It's just phenomenal that we have watched this kid literally grow up in the arena. It's dream stuff. Just if you consider how passionately and how staunchly that our fan base have supported homegrown talent right from the start, because it means more here. There's less facilities, there's less opportunities. Hockey isn't established. The one public rink on the island of Ireland is in Dundonald, and to have those kids that make it, versus other kids who are coming up through developmental systems, junior leagues, and even the unsung heroes of this, the mums, the dads, the junior giants, the boys and the girls that are getting on ferries and traveling all weekend just to play in Scotland. This hopefully should be a shining light to all of them that one day they can do it too.
I think that's exactly it. There's probably fans, if we do have fans from other teams that listen to the podcast, but there are probably fans from other teams from around the league thinking, what's the big deal? We get players coming through, young lads from Sheffield coming through, young lads from Nottingham coming through, Coventry, Cardiff. We get this all the time. Yes, you do, but we don't. And, the Gareth Martins, the Mark Morrisons, the Graham Waltons, the Dickos, the Chris McGimseys, Gareth Roberts, absolutely. These lads, they're few and far between, unfortunately. And when they get their chance, the best thing is that the crowd at the SSE or the crowd at the Odyssey Arena get behind them. And when we see two young lads at 17 years old come out and play the way they did against the Fife Flyers and 2 wins, especially being key parts in goals such as Kieran Long's, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it ad nauseum because we love it. It's exactly what we want. It's a sort of developmental part of the game that we haven't had or hasn't been showing for a long time, and now we're getting it to show, and it's really, really good to see. Before we close up on this part, we're going to hear from one of the goal scorers, and that is Kieran Long.
Joined by Kieran Long on Tuesday morning before practice. Longer a weekend, we're short on bodies, and Adam decided to call up to the younger lads who've been training with you since the start of September. They certainly didn't look out of place.
Yeah, no, I actually messaged Cal. I should have messaged Mack as well, but they both did themselves really proud. I thought they both held their own and looked really good, so it was really promising for their careers.
Friday night, obviously, the victory over the Fife Flyers in Fife, and then Sunday, getting yourself a Superman goal and playing more or less for the second half of the game with Mack on your line itself. And again, between yourself, Hookie, and Longer, Mack, you had some chances.
Yeah, we did. I thought all three of us played really well. We stuck together as a unit. We were going up the ice together, came back together, and it worked really well. Yeah.
It's good from a perspective of you've been there before with regards to being a 17, 18-year-old, and don't take us the wrong way, but you're one of the oldest in the group now, and obviously offering your experience, and your it's going to filter down to the likes of Mack and Cal.
Yeah, definitely. And I remember when I was that age, I was getting help as well from the boys, so it's just nice to give them a little helping hand, give them a little bit of confidence, and just let them know they're not on their own, kind of thing.
Challenge Cup has sort of been put in the back burner now, and it's gearing up for the weekend. Cardiff and Coventry, 2 big tasks. The boys up for the task?
Oh yeah, definitely. No excuses with any injuries. We've got to come out and prepare well this week, and I think the boys are ready for an exciting weekend against Cardiff and Coventry, who both look extremely good. I'm pretty sure Coventry beat Cardiff on the Sunday or one of the days. Both games are going to be hard, and I think we just need to prepare well, and I'm sure we will.
Thanks, Longer.
No worries.
Thanks to Kieran Long. Any last thoughts on the game, Davy?
I guess one thing that has struck me over the last 2-3 games maybe is we're getting offense from everywhere. We're getting a lot of help from the blue line, which is coming from a couple of ways. We talked about this the other week where we have been transitioning so quick, which is allowing us to push D back. Dundee dropped off, which allowed us our D main to activate. But we're getting a lot of shots in. There's only been, I think, the last 3 games now we've only had one player that hasn't had a shot on goal. They've had shots off goal. Every player had a shot on or off goal on the last 3 games, which is just phenomenal. That the confidence is there. Nobody's dishing. Everybody's taking the opportunity. Shelling goes in, like as I said, 90-something shots towards goal the other night. Just tells a story. So I'm pleased that this is critical time now. I know you'll come to it at the end of the show, and I'll not talk about it then. But this weekend is sort of barometer. Oh, look at it.
Nice
Nice segue.
One for the YouTube.
It's going to be sort of the acid test of where we are at. I think Joe might have even mentioned that earlier on himself. We've played Fife, we've played Dundee a couple of times, 3 times, whatever each now. Cardiff is a big step up. They've had that CHL time over the last few weeks. They've had games, good 2 goaltenders, 2 import goaltenders, which we'll not know until Saturday who we're going to face. And CJ Mott and Net on Sunday night is going to be the critical matchups this weekend. It's going to be difficult for us, but we've had, if you like, pre-season's over. And that's not supposed to end up, if you're a Dundee fan or you're a Fife fan. I don't mean that Dundee beat us, and I don't mean that in a disparaging way. I just mean that that'll have been our focus probably over the last will have been to come out of the games against Fife and Dundee in a positive position in the group, but to get minutes on their both goaltenders, to get, well, unfortunately we've came away with a few injuries. Obviously, we've also had boys come in there, a bit of fitness that were injured. So it'll have been a good 3 weeks for us, but really the season starts now.
But it's like, I don't know. You say you don't want to sound disparaging. You don't, because it's a fact of the matter that the Challenge Cup, of which Challenge Cup group, of which we are top and of which we are now qualified for the quarterfinals, is a low risk competition in the group stage for a team like the Belfast Giants, who are expected to win, enough games to get through to the quarterfinals. Be that, we could have the other groups are out of our hands. Okay, so but only one team out of the 9 who are competing, because Braehead or Glasgow are not part of the competition this year, but one team out of the 9 who are competing drops out. So even if Manchester are beaten at other times, or even if the Giants had lost both games this weekend to the Fife Flyers, we probably are still going through, because there's going to be points dropped in other groups to drop somebody down below. It's just low risk. So I think it's a calculated risk to make that pre-season, which I think has worked out well. Or I guess we'll see in the coming weeks if it has worked out well, as compared to the likes of, we'll talk about Cardiff and whatever, where they come out of with regards to the Champions Hockey League and stuff like that. I'm going to wrap this part of it up. Like I say, 6-2 win for your Belfast Giants on the Sunday. A great victory for them. Highlights from Belfast Giants TV and Mr. Kitchen. Speaking of Mr. Kitchen, obviously not with us today because he's feeling a bit under the weather. Big shout to him again. He was able to get down to training and chat with Jeff Mason, JJ Piccinich, and Griffin Reinhart.
JJ, another 2 results at the weekend, 2 positive results against the Fife Flyers. Managed to pick yourself up another goal. How's your season started for you, and obviously how for as a team collective?
I think it's gone well. There's still some bumps we got to figure out, and we're working on that today as a team. But I think it's a good start. It's good that I almost believe that it's kind of good to have adversity in the beginning. So I don't think we've seen too much of that yet, despite having some injuries. So I think it's good overall, and we're going to keep building it.
This weekend, you get the experience, the league format. You got the Cardiff Devils on Saturday. And the Coventry Blaze on Sunday. Looking forward to the challenge?
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be our first league games there, so we're definitely expecting it to be pretty electric, and that's about it. I think that's all I got.
Thanks, JJ. This double-header weekend against the Fife Flyers there, and success in both games. Fife's it's notoriously been a difficult rink to go into, but we did put on a good performance and obviously come out with a positive result.
Yeah, absolutely. As you said, it is a hard building to go in and play. Their fans are good. Sometimes it's a bit cold and dark and damp, and conditions can be a bit tough. But the guys have done well to go in there both times and really, put in a good effort, control the majority of the play, and two good results.
Obviously, Sunday's game, coming back home again, another victory is 6-2. Win over the Flyers, and a couple of promising performances from a couple of 17-year-olds.
Yeah, they really helped us out. We were so short bench to be able to get them in and eat up that many minutes that they both played was really key for us, especially going forward. Obviously, a good performance by us. We controlled the play. We did all the things that we wanted to do. If you listen to Todd Keefe speak, they're not where they want to be. They might make a few changes, but you can only play the team that's in front of you, and we put in a really solid effort and got another good result.
Qualification for the Challenge Cup now secure. We move on to start the league programme this weekend against the Cardiff Devils and the Coventry Blaze. 2 tough teams, and it doesn't really start any harder than the Devils in Cardiff. Yeah,
I think everyone's excited to get the league play going, and if you look at those 2 teams played each other last weekend, 2 quality sides. They both they split on the weekend, so we're expecting 2 really tough tasks. Obviously, going into Cardiff's never easy. They're always a tough team. Coventry's a hard place to play. They got a really good goalie, and they play hard in that building. So we expect 2 really hard games.
Cheers, miss. Griffin all weekend, 4 points against the Fife Flyers. Friday night's game, first of all, and tough again, being a couple of guys down, but a really good resulting performance in Fife.
It's tough being down some guys like that, but luckily everybody's playing well, and it makes it easier. To shorten the lineup, just get a rotation in. And then we continue that on to Sunday as well and had a good result.
Being guys down gives the opportunity for other people to come into the lineup, and with 2 local boys coming into the lineup, how'd they get on for you, in your opinion?
Yeah, they were good. The first game, I'm sure they're a little bit nervous, but they handled it well. As I played with Mack on the back end there, with Cal, and it was pretty fun. I've been in that position before too, so I'm hoping they enjoyed it and just continue to get better.
Sunday, come back to Belfast again. They get their home debut in front of a big crowd, and it's all about the preparation for this weekend. The league starts this weekend, Cardiff and Coventry. You haven't faced those 2 teams yet, but I'm sure you're expecting a tough challenge.
Yeah, from what I hear anyway, first year in the league, haven't played these teams, but I've heard it'll be a good challenge, and hopefully we're ready for it.
Thanks very much.
Thanks for getting down to training and picking up those interviews. Davey, before we go into news, I've got this working. I've got this button. I'm coming to you.
Oh, got something.
It's back. It's almost back.
Sort of back.
We stat, man.
Nice.
We've scored. We scored 6 goals in that last game. Is there a statistic around that?
Yes, there is. And thanks to the stat guys, the Kieran, the Phil, the Stevie, who do so much work behind the scenes, and I get the glory on the podcast of being called the stat man, but it's a stat team, trust me. The 6 goals for the Belfast Giants were the 66th time we have scored 6 goals at the Odyssey Arena. So there's a little stat for you. 666.
Not bad. There you are. Well worth it. You know what I mean? I knew there was something to do with that. I remember you mentioned that. So
yeah, you knew that. You knew that.
I knew that already. I've been counting it up myself. I think I got a spreadsheet somewhere. No, nice work. Nice work. I know, and well worth shouting out for the stats team, mate, because I know there's a lot of effort put in by those guys, both at games and after games, to get those numbers out.
Seriously, just to give them a little plug, like Stevie Thompson's like a modern day Rain Man. He sends me a Excel spreadsheet over on a Monday morning. That's like 19 megabytes or something. It's been 20 years and it's in the data in it. And like come on Monday morning, he has downloaded every goal scored in the Elite League, analysed where the goaltenders are conceding them, where they're doing shot maps, goalie maps, all for Monday morning for me to compile reports to try and send across. All we're trying to do is, find that half inch, find that 1/2 mil that might mean 1 goal the Giants this season, might mean nothing, but we're just trying to push the envelope to help keep our stats and analytics are so important. Now, it's Steve Key. You see the pirate there sitting up there too, Joel, analysing everything that's going on, cutting video. And all we're trying to do is find that extra little piece that someone else hasn't got that give us that little edge. So those guys do so much behind the scenes. And as I say, I come on the podcast and get called the stat man, but like Stevie Thompson, Keelan Daly, see?
There you go.
I've got scissors teeth in. It's nearly midnight. and Phil Armstrong are 3 little legends for the Belfast Giants.
Couldn't agree more.
It's all about Dave Brailsford said it's the accumulation of marginal gains.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's it might drive you past just that one game or whatever here. But yeah, top work by you all. Joel, take the news.
Yeah, quickly, boys. Run through the results from the weekend. David, you've been proud of this one, mate.
Joel's put his glasses on.
I've got notes. Listen, I've got notes. There were Challenge Cup wins all weekend by home teams, and there were league wins all weekend by away teams. So if you're a betting individual, hope you got that on. The Challenge Cup this weekend on Saturday night, Nottingham beat Manchester by 3-1 at home. Dundee managed to beat Fife 3-2, and Cardiff beat Coventry 4-1. And then on Sunday in the Cup, Coventry returned the favour to snap a 3-game losing streak in the Cup by beating Cardiff in the Sky Dome by 3-2. Only 2 games in the Elite League over the weekend. Sheffield and Guildford had a home and away series. On Saturday, Sheffield lost to Guildford by 6-4, and then returned the favour on Sunday by 6-3. I'm going to get straight into the news and something that we probably should have mentioned right at the top of the show, but it's a lot of stuff going on this week. Mr. Jim Gillespie was back in the SSE Arena on Sunday afternoon. There were 2 boxes down from where we were, our wee sort of media perch, and I could see him and Mitzi, and Mr. Fitzpatrick was in having a yarn, and the Smallsy showed me a couple of photos after of Jim like celebrating right in the moment. You could see the delight on his face to be back in the arena. He obviously had tried to be there for opening weekend, and sort of health issues didn't permit, and it was just a real special moment to see him, especially obviously Mitzi too and the family, but him back in Northern Ireland and back in the arena. I'm guessing, Davy, you're going to want to talk about this first.
Well, there's not an awful lot I can say about Jim Gillespie that hasn't been already said and rightly deserved. President of the club, Mr. Belfast, as I call him, and many others call him, and we've said all along, no Belfast Giants without Jim Gillespie, and it would be wrong to forget about all the people that came before Richard. Remember Richard way back in the day in the office, and John Elliott and all coming in, and different people that have been custodians of the club along the way. But Jim Gillespie especially came in at a time when things were really dark for the club, and rescued us and pulled us up by the bootstraps, and then obviously passed it on to the hands of the trust, who have honoured Jim. Jim being honoured as well by the British Ice Hockey Hall of Fame as an inductee there, and well deserved. Look, it's brilliant to see him back in Belfast. His health hasn't been good for a number of years, but look, the respect the guys held, Jim and Mitzi, Jitsi, it's great to see them over from Texas, and I don't know how long they're staying in the country for, but while they're here, they should be cuddled and praised in every syllable and every superlative you can think of. Just I love them to bits.
Right, come in as well. It's just there was a time when we wondered, or we worried, whether we'd see Jim Gillespie back at the SSE Arena again, and would he get to see his beloved Belfast Giants again? And it's fabulous that he's there, not just just as the president of the club, to be present for the games, given the long layoff that we've had over the last 18 months. The team is back up and running and doing so well and started the season so well, but also that he's able to see the leaps and bounds that we've come along, the rebranding, the way that the SSE Arena looks, the way that the show that the team is in good hands. That it's got a great coach. It's got a title in the cupboard waiting to be defended. The club is in great hands now, but the hands that it's in now wouldn't have had their hands in the club if it wasn't for Jim Gillespie and the effort and the money and the support that he gave to the club to bring us out of what was a very dark time. And going right back to that time, coming out of the Super League when we wondered where we'd have a club, and I remember it so well. And Davy's already mentioned Jim Elliott and Richard and the guys who worked so hard to bring the club through. But fabulous to see Jim back at the SSE Arena. I know I was talking to Laura when I was back last time. Unfortunately, Jim wasn't able to be there for that game, but it was great that he was able to be there for that Fife game.
Yeah, to your good health, Jim and Mitzi and the whole family.
Absolutely.
Just phenomenal to see them. Running through just some news kind of around the league and a bit further afield, boys. We talk about it, or have talked about it, depending on the continuity of this show with Mr. Aaron Murphy, but GB's women played a series of Olympic qualifiers over the weekend on Premier Sports. Beat Iceland 5-0, dropped 2-1 to Slovenia, and went into the final game against Korea with knowing that a 2-goal margin would see them through to the last round of qualifiers for Beijing in 2022. They took a 1-0 lead deep in the second period and just could not find that second. Apparently it was a thriller of a game. But despite not making it through, their performance has been lauded by everyone who saw it. There was 4-figure attendance in the arena. I don't know that we need to recover it. It's obviously on the show already, but the future appears to be bright. And it's, personally for me anyway, I think it's fantastic to see the women's side of the game continue to grow in the UK.
Yeah, we'll be hearing more about that from Aaron Murphy later on, but yeah, absolutely.
And boys, I don't know if you have a song ready for me here, Patrick, but
here we go.
After the end of furlough in the UK, it appears that DOPS are back. Nice.
to get this fixed.
Dops.
Cancel that. I'm going to get the Dops button fixed. Go.
You can't get the staff. Anthony DeLuca was handed a 2-game suspension after a kick to Flames goaltender Kevin Lindskog in the crease during a goal celebration. My personal take on this, I mean, I'm guessing we've all seen it by now. It did the rounds on social media. The pitchforks were out on Twitter this weekend for DeLuca. Not a player who's really known for being particularly dirty or whatever else. You know, I always go back to the risk involved in hockey, the intensity by which these men in this league are expected to play at, and you know you're really acting on instinct a lot of the time. There was a kick to Lindskog. I think it was a bad look on DeLuca. I think it was a bit of a scumbag move, to be honest. There was not intent to injure with that kick. I mean, there really wasn't. I compared it in a chat at the weekend to that time David Beckham lifted his foot against Argentina in the late 90s and the whole world had a meltdown from that red card for that kick. That's a deep pull for you. But anyway, Dobbs come back with a 2-game suspension. Probably need to set a precedent on it to make sure that it doesn't happen again. I think DeLuca's apology was fairly mature, and I mean, it really was not a big deal to me. But Dobbs' reasoning for it, they said, it's important to note that the kick was not forceful. We've always been clear that force is an important consideration for on-ice officials. Must emphasize that using a skate or skate blade to make intentional or reckless contact with an opponent, regardless of the purpose, is entirely different to a hit that involves a player's body or stick. Minimal force required to dangerously cut or injure an opponent. But they said it wasn't malicious and he wasn't a repeat offender. Do you have any takes about the meltdown about DeLuca having a wee kick at Lindskog?
Yes.
Go.
DeLuca, I think your words were his apology was mature. His apology was a man who got caught.
Fair.
I think, it was a, like I say, it was a scumbag move. Fella was down, goal was scored. He threw a little dig in with his foot, thinking he would get away with it, and it got caught. It got caught in camera. It got seen. It was dirt, and he deserves his 2 games. And he came out and apologized, but that's a man only apologizing because he got caught.
Absolutely fair. Davy, and the ad?
No, I didn't like the look of it either, but
nice.
Oh no!
Great recovery from the Dobbs theme there.
You're kidding me, Simon.
A little bit of what you both said. I agree with Paddy there. A man caught on it. It was never meant to injure someone, but a lot of things that happen on the ice aren't intended to injure people. But people can get hurt, and you've got a very, very sharp blade on your feet, especially if Taff Ellery has done your skates for you. So you've got to be very, very careful out there. And it was a D1CK move, and he got caught on, and that's all there is to say about it, really.
On the flip side to that particular coin, Lyndon Springer has been enjoying more early showers. Against Nottingham in the Challenge Cup on Saturday night, he received 2 for slashing and 5+ game misconduct for fighting. He has now been ejected 4 times, once per weekend since the season started. I'm going to press my button at this point that Lyndon Springer is the next inductee into the Devon Didiomiti Joe Grimaldi EIHL Hall of Fame. It feels to me like he's hit this point where the reputation's going to stick and he's going to keep getting binned. And does that become untenable eventually? But like 4 weekends and kicked every single weekend, come on.
Do you expect anything else from Lyndon Springer? Like, is anybody really surprised? If Mr. Kitchen was with us, he'd be shaking his head saying he's absolutely not surprised. This is this player that that Manchester know that they're getting, and it's just same old.
You Springer fan, Davey?
Like Finners recruited him for a reason. I'm not sure it's to score 30 goals, so he must be happy enough to take the risk that he's going to lose him. And it's not even so much that you're losing him for portions of games. He's going to pull up suspensions here too. He's going to get 2 games here, 3 games there. And then when he has his Derek Campbell moment or his Grimaldi moment and he misses 10 games, 15 games, gets a season, whatever, it would just be nice to see him trying to... The game has changed. The game has changed significantly. And I thought... Actually, this season would have started the way teams were recruiting, and ourselves included. I thought we had recruited a bit more size and a bit more. What we have that kind of team toughness, if you like, where guys are happy to get involved in scrums and grabbing and holding rather than, you know, anything really stupid. We haven't seen anything from a Belfast Giant yet that's kind of crossed the line. There's been a few conversations on Twitter and stuff, but like Lyndon Springer is a bit of a liability there at Manchester, and it's one that a clever coach will play on when we go and play them. So, you know, as Joel says, he's kind of, we're not reinventing the wheel with Lyndon Springer. You're getting exactly what it says on the tin with him.
Interested to see if anything comes of that with regard to Dobbs, because it's a bad look to be kicked 4 weekends in a row. In other news, next Premier Sports game, there was obviously no game last weekend with the GB women's games. The next game is this Sunday as your very own Belfast Giants visit the Sky Dome to take on the Coventry Blaze. So Murph will have...
What time's it on at, Paddy?
It's not that.
La Liga on us at 6.
6 o'clock. 6 o'clock face off. Game starts at 5:30 on Premier Sports.
Yeah, so I'll continue with my Premier Sports plug. That's on Sunday, and also Premier Sports this week announced up to 15 NHL games a week if you're into watching the show. So good bang for your buck there, and addition to the great international and the IHL coverage from Premier Sports. Finally, for me, really, Devils in the CHL. We talked about them heading out to Finland to play Lukko last Wednesday. They were beaten 5-2, taking them to 1-4 at the bottom of a group, also featuring Adler Mannheim, and I can never pronounce it. Is it Lausanne? They play in Wales tomorrow. They play in Wales tomorrow ahead of the Giants this weekend. So there's obviously that quick turnaround for the Giants to factor, which will hopefully be a slight positive. I guess my only question with this is, and it's a question that we've talked about at length here, the CHL, is it worth it for teams in the Elite League? And the caveat to that is that your very own Ice Barn are also 1-4, Paddy, at the minute in the CHL.
And they are, and they've just brought in, what do you call him from Detroit? Frankson? Anyway, but yes, they are. Is it worth it? We'll see on Saturday, I guess. I think we'll hear from Aaron Murphy shortly, and he makes a very good point on the basis that, it was actually Mark Garside who we'll hear from. They've had the build up in the CHL. Are they going to come out all guns blazing because they have been playing at that level for a few weeks now?
Yeah,
so
that's true.
And Davy's always said, from a point of view of success, the CHL is not going to bring us any success. No team in the Elite League. No team in the Elite. No, I mean, like from an actual silverware perspective, no team in the Elite League is strong enough to win the CHL. They might get to the next round. They might have we've made it to the knockout stages, but they're not getting all the way to the final, and they're not going to win it. Is it going to build a team that brings success domestically? Potentially, not for us, because we'd already wanted to get in, and we give away places because that's just who we are. But we'll see on Saturday. Sorry, come on, David.
No, you're welcome, Cardiff. I was just saying.
Well, time and time again, they benefit from the fact that it's so good.
We've rehearsed this argument before about the Continental Cup, and we've gone to the final of it. Steelers, Nottingham over the years as well. I've done Coventry. People have done well in the Continental Cup, and that's maybe where the silverware opportunity and that chance, like that Sunday we had against Ardan was incredible as a Belfast Giants fan, and it's something that'll stick in the memory for a long, long time. It was fantastic to be involved in. I wasn't high on the CHL at all, and I was vocal on Twitter about not being, but enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the experience to go out to the Czech Republic for the guys that got to go to Germany and off to Sweden and stuff. It was great to be involved in it, and you're playing against real top opposition. And that first night, another night, that night against Liberec, that'll live in the memory for a long time as well, that opening night at the Odyssey. But I think we sit better. The guys enjoy playing in it, fair enough, and it helps. It's a great recruitment tool. But I sit more comfortably in the Continental Cup, where we have a real chance. You play hockey to raise banners. No Elite League team, certainly in the next long while, is going to raise a CHL banner. But somebody could raise a Continental Cup banner season on season. EIHL teams could do that. And that's where I sit. I like it.
They have. They have. Nottingham won it, didn't they? So it is possible.
So I'm not on the fence. I'm more Continental Cup, but I enjoyed the CHL experience, no doubt about that.
Yeah, heading into a challenge this weekend, as Paddy says.
Second period reminded me of a movie of Slapshot.
Yeah.
And with that, that's your news, Patrick Smith.
Time for the fan agenda, brought to you by our good friends at Belfast Giants TV, and we are joined. I don't want to say what was it? Somebody said it was like the elder statesman of the Belfast Giants. It sounds really bad when you say that. It sounds like you're like one of the longest serving Belfast Giants on the team. Let's put it that. Mr. Mark Garside, how are you?
I'm alright, mate. How are you all?
Very well, very well. Do you feel upset if you get called the elder statesman of the Belfast Giants?
Just to jump in with a stat there, am I not right in saying Dicko's the elder statesman? Gary's actually younger.
That's right.
That's true. Fair
He's
enough.
practically a Wayne. Practically a Wayne compared to Dicko.
Yeah. We get stuck straight in just talking about the weekend there. 2 games against Fife, because all we ever play are Fife and Dundee these days. But 2 games against Fife, a good shutout win away and an absolute dominant win at home. How are you feeling after that?
Pretty good. I mean, we knew going into the weekend we were down bodies, so we knew it was going to be difficult, but we survived. And the guys that played well. So, and then obviously with 2 young kids jumping the line up, it's always good when you see young guys come through doing well.
Well, that was going to be my next question with Kel and Mack coming in. You know, obviously there's a real interest from us as local people, having local guys on the team, and it means a lot to us with regards to representation. But those guys really made good showing of themselves out there.
Yeah, they did. It was probably really exciting, and at the same time probably a bit nerve-wracking for them going and jumping in there. And I don't think they really expected to play much this season, but with the lineup numbers the way they are, I think they probably end up seeing them a little bit more as well, you know.
One of the things that we talked about a couple of weeks ago, Gary, was the not the import caps, or the bench size coming down, which might have, if all your imports are available, might squeeze some of the developmental guys like Kel and Mack from not getting. But like Longer scores the other night, and it's Kel goes up the wall, Mack chips it on, Longer scores, Hookie's in the line, West is saved. 5 British guys on the ice with obviously Reinhart as well at the back. But with these injuries, it's given a couple of young guys a chance to come on. They certainly didn't let themselves down.
No, they've done really well. I mean, it's a difficult situation for any kid across the UK who's coming out of youth development. Like, our youth development, quite simply, isn't good enough to produce players at 17 to compete with 25-year-old Canadians who've come through the best system in the world. Every single one of them will come through and do that. So for them just to do that, come through and compete with those guys, it's quite something to do. They're obviously talented boys.
And what about yourself there? You've had the opportunity, obviously, the last couple of seasons going back on the back end, but back up front over the past weekend as well, playing a few shifts up there.
No, I'm not sure that's a thing anymore. But, no, I mean, obviously, we were short on the front, so Keefe asked me to go up and do a job, and I am still capable of rolling back the years every now and then.
There's a few points and a few pluses wrapped up.
No big deal,
How did you feel about Kieran Long taking your stick and moving back from forward onto defence and putting a good showing in?
Good. He didn't take my stick. My stick's really low on flex now. But no, I mean, he's good. He kind of he's a smart player, and I know a lot of people probably expected him coming from Manchester just score loads of goals. He probably can do that. I think he'll probably score a lot more this year. But he can also think the game pretty well, and you can see when he's playing D, he takes good angles at the puck. He reads the play well, and he kind of that helps a lot when you come back and he can play well.
Gary, this is like the new version of asking somebody if they have a nice Christmas at the end of January, but this is the first time we've spoken to you really since all of that happened. You had a test, that whole thing. you had a testimonial, fantastic night. a great season was rolling on to what seemed to be a really exciting end. And then obviously the whole world came crashing down. You're probably one of the few that spent the pandemic, I'm presuming, here in Northern Ireland as the rest of the boys got on planes and disappeared. What was that like for you? Just almost overnight, it feels like the whole club was just gone. And how did you spend your like year and a half? Can you fill us in on what you've been doing?
At the first immediate part of it wasn't so bad. My wife was finishing her third year in university and doing nursing, so I think she ended up getting a little bit of time off for the first lockdown, and then she went back to work. But our youngest went into primary 1, and then she got a job in the ICU. So the second lockdown and the third, I don't even know what to call it, for the prolonged second one over Christmas and then into March was quite difficult for us because she was working full time as an ICU nurse, and I have 2 young kids. And the schools were closed, so I'm trying to teach a 5-year-old these P1 lessons while the 2-year-old's trying to stick a pencil in the dog's eye. It's not the easiest, not the easiest thing I've ever done. So it was stressful, but it was. I mean, I got to spend a lot of time with my kids, so.
Yeah, careful what you wish for. So I'm guessing now being back in the room and back among the boys, the pressures and the stresses of daily life in the Elite Ice Hockey League are nothing on trying to homeschool kids.
No, I mean, I think I knew initially when I had that long stint out injured, coming back, you do realise like what you miss and what it's like being in the team environment and stuff. And I kind of knew that already, that, you know, I would miss it. So I come back, and obviously it's great to be back in the dressing room and the banter, and then going out and playing in front of fans and things is great as well.
I'm going to go to a couple of Twitter questions. Patrick Walsh, what does it feel like to stick on the big C?
Interesting.
Are you going to give us the exclusive? Is that a thing? Like, I mean, are we just a temporary measure, or give us the AVFTB exclusive, Gary? Come on.
We haven't even spoken about it in the room. I didn't even know I had the C until somebody mentioned it to me when I walked in. I was like, oh, I got to talk to the ref. Like, I think in our team anyway, there's lots of guys that are kind of like leaders anyway. And, you know, more can be made about, you know, giving somebody the captaincy than what it really is. You know, we have probably 4 or 5 guys in the room this year who've played, you know, around a while, or who play the game or have characters that are what you would call leaders. So I mean, I'm honoured to, you know, wear the C for the Giants. But
this is like news to me. I never noticed this, and I am made up. This is
look at the smile. Look at
this. Is brilliant. This is like,
there you go.
This should have happened a year ago or the last season.
Well,
agreed.
Absolutely chuffed 2 bits for you.
Oh, thank you. I was very proud to sort of wear the C, but at the same time, I just try to concentrate on doing my job.
That's class.
I'm just gonna try and continue on as I normally do and how I normally am. The kind of only added extra thing is you go and chat to the ref every now and then, you know, and they don't change their mind, so it'd be kind of futile. Go over there. How you doing, man? That wasn't a penalty. And he goes, "Aye, it was." And he goes, "All right then."
I'm going to take it from the smile of Davy's face. This might actually just wash away that whole Nottingham Panthers aspect of it.
No, but
listen,
like this is a question that I don't even know how we approach. So probably best we don't, and just ride the high of I've just found out that Mark Garside is the captain of the Belfast Giants, and I'm going to go a wee bit fanboy about it. It's just
timed that perfectly. Timed that so
well. I don't know if I'm not like the continuous captain. We've changed it around the last few games.
Let's just ride the high here for
we'll ride the high.
Davey, also we need listens and clicks, so if you could ask the Panthers question, that'd be great. we need the controversy, so if you want to start digging them now, that'd be great.
Okay, what I do is I'll cut it from here. I'm just like lots of serious shit.
Why? Why the Nottingham? I take it was a draft thing. You didn't really have a lot of choice other than you could have said no.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, like you were in the draft, and then you just got. I was probably quite lucky in the sense that we ended up in Nottingham because we were in their home dressing and we got all the facilities and all, so it actually worked all right for us. And we won it, obviously, which was good.
What was it like as an experience?
It was good. I mean, like I had a sort of blast. It was kind of weird too. Coming right out of lockdown, basically, and we were just shipped over or flew over to Nottingham. We had 3 teams staying in the Jury's Inn, of which I might have seen the other teams like once or twice over a 6-week period. It was really strange, like the way the times worked out, and like everything was very much like you couldn't hang around in the hallways or in the lobby in the hotel or anything like that. Like, it was all, do your PCR or your lateral flow tests every day, and it wasn't so bad in the sense that you weren't allowed outside, because we were able to go out and everything started opening up after a week or two, so you could kind of go out and get lunch and stuff like that again. It was pretty good.
I don't think he's happy with that as an answer, which is perfect. Thanks, mate. That's a few extra clicks tomorrow.
It was the life there was good.
It's tough. Here, Davey. He's wearing the C, mate. he's wearing a captaincy. Sorry, back to Twitter for a couple of questions from the fans, predictably about music, as it often ends up on these interviews. Do you have any favorite local bands or artists, or who are you looking forward to seeing when bands are fully touring again? I've got a list as long as my arm.
I know the one band I did get into before lockdown came around was I listened to Elbow's new album.
Oh, very nice.
And I really loved it. And they were going to play at the Waterfront that year. Yeah. I really wanted to go see them. And there's a few other bands like Nothing But Thieves and what's the other English rock band? What are they called? Something Blood.
Royal Blood.
There you go. With them, I'd like to see as well. I actually saw Jerry Cinnamon a couple of weeks ago as well.
So did I. It was my first one back, and it could have been just a lad kicking a can around the stage. I'd have been there having a great time, to be honest, after 18 months. But...
I know. I think everybody was absolutely well up for that.
There is the obvious question of, do you have any plans to do any more music? There was obviously a fantastic night out with your good self pre-pandemic as well, live music at the Empire. And you've had, quite a lot of time with kids running around you and stuff. I saw photos of the guitars on Facebook. Any plans to put anything more together?
We did put together a few songs. The people that I played with at the Empire, actually. But obviously lockdown came around, so the guy had to close the studio. And then had some personal stuff. We just ended up, and then I ended up in Nottingham and then in Latvia. And we haven't really got restarted. But we'll probably try and get something together, I don't know, some point this year. The end of this decade, I'll have an album in it, I think.
Gareth Little with that first question, and Teal Trooper Daz with that second one. And finally, from our friend Johnny Baxter, you have to sing a duet with one member of this year's team. Who are you picking? And if whoever you choose, can we have that at the awards night, please?
Well, it depends. If we win the league, I'd do it.
Yeah, sweet. There you go. Write that down. Johnny, you heard that, mate. That's happening.
Who would I sing a duet with?
Sing a few bars there, Davey. Go on.
You know what? Besco would probably do a good duet.
Oh, man, that would be beautiful. I'm all in on that.
You probably want like a country song, and I'd be like, hang on. No. We gotta sing something that people will know.
Watch out for the Giants Awards night. Patrick?
Let's get back to hockey, so to speak. We've obviously seen Dundee and Fife over the last couple of weeks. Challenge Cup. Elite League action starts this weekend. Difficult couple of trips. Cardiff Saturday and Coventry, probably the two teams that have looked as good as anybody so far this season. It's going to be a difficult weekend.
Yeah, we've got to be, ready to go and on our toes when we get in there, because no disrespect to Fife and Dundee, but Cardiff's obviously been playing Champions League hockey, so they're going to be probably a step above. So we're going to have to go in there and get in the mindset where we're going to be in a battle. It's also going to be, there's going to be at times where we're under pressure and stuff, and it'll be interesting to see how we cope. I'm sure we've got enough quality in the lineup that we can, cope with their pressure and then give some back too. So it'll be interesting. It'll be fun, obviously, having a challenge like that. And I think we're all looking forward to it.
Is that one thing to take out of, as Joel and you described the start, that stuff that happened there, is that one thing to take out of it? We're back. The most important thing, although it's a job, it's a passion for us to have fun playing this game. It's a game.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it was like I said before, I've obviously I've had a few injuries which have lasted a long time, and you do realise how much it is fun. I think early on in my career, I did take it quite seriously and was like dead set on. I think just things like training and trying to be the best I could be, or probably overly serious about it. And as you go on in your career, you're kind of like, if you reach your maximum limit almost of what you can achieve, and then you understand the game is actually fun, and you can sort of chill out a bit and enjoy it. And I think after the pandemic, I think a lot of guys probably went through a time where they've not played for a while and realised how much fun it actually is.
I think that's where we're going to wrap it up here. Mr. Garside, thank you very much for your time. Good luck this weekend. Load the travel, and look forward to see you back at the SSE in a couple of weeks for, I guess we're playing Fife or Dundee at home. I guess that's who we play.
Again.
Just for the rest of the season, that's all there is now.
Thanks for your time, mate.
No bother, thank you.
Thanks, Gary.
Big thanks to Mark Garside. 2 games this weekend. Cardiff Devils in the league and Coventry Blaze in the league. 2 games away from home from the SSE and the first 2 games in the defence of our 2019 title, league title. Before I talk about them, obviously the second game is against the Coventry Blaze. It is live on Premier Sports. You're home for hockey. And I think our guest in just a moment mentions that. But yeah, we had a chance earlier on to chat with Aaron Murphy, and here's that chat. And with the game on Sunday against the Coventry Blaze being live on Premier Sports, who else are we going to bring in? Mr. Murphy, how are you?
Man, Joel and I, we've been up late. We're still celebrating the Bull Sox victory. And before we came live into the studio here, I had another baseball hat on. Your viewers will be happy, your listeners will be happy to know that you were absolutely disgusted when I changed over to my favorite hat. So let's go.
He embargoes me. He doesn't allow me to mention it, but you can do what you want, Murph. You're a guest. So I respect that. Listen, you talk about whatever you want to talk about tonight.
Pick a man with it. Listen, boys, and it's only been 2 days since I travelled down to London to watch my own New York Jets get a tanking. And I come in here and you boys are just hitting me hard. Thanks. You know who your friends are?
I don't know if I've lost more respect for you in the last 30 seconds finding out you're a Jets fan, or if knowing you're a Yankees fan all these years, it's breaking my heart. But
it's character building.
Dear. Well, let's go back to the we've got the game on Sunday. Murphy, you've been a busy man. You've been over to Nottingham with regards to the Women's World Championships that are taking place and the qualifiers there. You've got CHL happening, and the Elite League's been going great guns.
Yeah, really looking forward to, because Sunday will obviously be my first look in person at the Giants. I've been watching clips and highlights, and I'm really quite looking forward to Sunday, because I think it's possibly the 2 best goalies in the league, really, isn't it? CJ Mott versus Bescarawani. So that's one that I had circled, especially when I saw the summer signings and all that. And we've been to Coventry once. CJ Mott is the real deal. I think he's the sort of the anchor there, or the rock that they're building on, and they're a fast team, Coventry. Lakinen's back. I mean, he dishes the puck as well as anyone. I mean, he had 40 assists a couple of years ago. Their power play, I think, once it gets going with Ferrara and some of the new pieces there. Bludoff is a returning player, very good. So won't be easy for the Giants, but I think a battle of 2 very good teams, and I think it could come down to the goaltending. And as a purist who loves the goalies, I think it should be a very good Sunday evening on Premier.
Murph, turning to the Premier Sports coverage in general, not just the EIHL so far this season, something that we've touched upon a couple of times already on the podcast is the growing sort of interest and the growing dominance of the women's game in the UK. Now, obviously, you've got Caitlin Berry on your broadcast team alongside you and Paul Beattie, and you're just off the back of 3 fantastic GB women's games and a really thrilling Olympic qualifiers that they just missed out on. How important is it to you? And obviously, you've got 2 fathers of daughters here. How important is it to you that continues to kind of get the spotlight that it deserves?
Huge. That's a great question. I'm glad you brought that up, Jolie. A couple of years ago, I don't know if you remember, in 2019 Dumfries, we were the first network to put the women's GB team on. We wanted to do the World Championships in Dumfries and see how it went. And they played very well there. They won a silver medal. But it's Division 2A, right? It's a long way from Olympics and stuff like that. So the progression of that team, despite COVID and all that, I don't know if you watched the games in Nottingham. It was unbelievable. I mean, they outplayed the opposition in all 3 games. Unlucky against Slovenia. You talk about goaltending. Dukaric, who plays for Yale, made 49 saves or 48 saves in that game. So unlucky not to be going through to the final stage. But for me, it's been a project behind the scenes. Full credit to Andy French and Chris Ellis and everyone at Ice Hockey UK, because to get Dumfries on the air was a huge undertaking because we were the first. So when you're the first, there's all kinds of questions about, well, how can we give that a budget? How can we do that? So we got that over the line, and now it seems we'll be able to pick up some steam with that, especially with how well they played. And magnificent to see 1,700 people there Sunday against Korea. You mentioned Caitlin. Well, Caitlin knows hockey as well as anyone I've spoken to. I mean, her knowledge of the Ontario Hockey League is unbelievable, if I'm honest. She knows the NHL. She knows the Elite League. She knows international hockey. When Chris Ellis, when I reached out to Chris, I mean, Chris is a part of the squad, right? But Chris is a busy guy. He's got a family, but he's also got commitments. The EIHL deal, the Premier Sports League deal, came together quickly and late. He had already booked some dates, and the first thing I said to him was, "Well, on the dates you can't make it. What do you think of ABC?" I was very strong in thinking that we don't need another Chris Ellis. One is enough. I was pretty keen on giving someone who was smart, diligent, and knew the game. I wanted to give someone an opportunity, much like someone gave me an opportunity 15, 16, 17 years ago when I couldn't string a sentence together and had a Newfie accent. So everyone needs an opportunity. Caitlin worked for Chris in Ice Hockey UK at the men's Olympic qualifiers before the pandemic in Nottingham. And he said that would be a great choice to see how it goes, see if she's interested. And I don't know if you watched, again, the qualifiers. We had Angela Taylor, who's a GB women's hockey legend. I mean, played for the ZSC Lions, won Swiss titles, skated at the University of New Hampshire with some of the best American players. So she was on with me and Paul Aiden, and the crack that was had there because Angela had 70 points in 54 games for GB. Paul Adey had, I think he had 52 points in 54 games played. So I had great fun reminding him that he was the second best GB international on the panel. But to your question, it's very important to me. I have a son and a daughter, but not just because I have a daughter, and I'm sure the other guys feel the same way. I think it's about time that people were looked at for their ability and their knowledge, and not just the Mr. or the Mrs. or Miss. So I think Caitlin's done a good job. She's new, and between you guys, I've already heard some rumblings from certain corners that this and that, and so it leads me to believe we've done the right thing by giving her a chance, because some of the people that will complain about you doing something new are exactly the people you don't want on the show. So I think we've done the right thing. And you look at Angela Taylor and Caitlin Berry, they know hockey as well as anyone. So I think we're doing the right thing. And look, Chris is awesome. And when he couldn't do all the shows, he gave us an opportunity to give someone else an opportunity. And I hope Caitlin continues to grow and take it by the horns. And I hope I get to work with Angela Taylor again, because she's definitely the best GB international I've ever worked with. No offense, Paul.
Yeah, Murph, I kind of not disagree with your point there about talking about being dads of girls. I think it focuses a wee bit more on where the holes are and things, and it's good to see more women get there. Has to sometimes be a little bit of enforced equality. You have to push women in these spaces, because a podcast is 4 white guys sitting in their bedrooms, and that's this. Look at us, and we have to take that on board as well, at what we're doing with the podcast and how we find a voice for. Look, the Giants fan base is probably even more slightly women-based than men, so we have to find, and we have talked about this over many years, about how we get those voices that don't always want to come, but when there's one available and they're knowledgeable, get them in there. And so see where it goes. Hopefully it works out for her. But bringing us back to the EIHL, we've had sort of 3-4 weeks of it now. What's stood out to you? Seen anything that you've liked?
The speed of the game. I can't believe Sheffield, Cardiff. Well, I'd seen Cardiff in the Champions Hockey League, and the likes of Sanford and Cox. 5'6", 5'7" guys, real buzzsaws. And Sanford's got 3 or 4 goals in the Champions Hockey League, right? So you watch the speed of the game, and admittedly, I didn't get to watch a lot of the Elite Series, and that was a different construct and a different way of doing things. But the speed of the game, despite the fact that some guys have had layoffs, and certainly some teams have had layoffs, not everyone played in the Elite Series. So the speed of the game is in full force. Sheffield can fly, man. Some of those guys can fly. Cardiff are fast. I'm actually really surprised at how fast the Blaze were in that game against Sheffield on TV a few weeks ago. And they probably should have won that game. I mean, they got a point. Always tough to get a point against Sheffield, right? But the Blaze were quick in that game. They were all over Sheffield in the first period. That's Stojanovic. Rok Stojanovic played very well. And he played very well against Cardiff. He stopped Sanford on a breakaway. So the speed of the game, the goaltending, and I'd have to say I'm really interested, and Paul Adey will tell you this as well. Man, the coaches are in fine form early on. Aaron Fox, Danny Stewart, Jared Scaldi finally getting an opportunity after a bit of a slow start in the Champions Hockey League with COVID protocols and stuff. The coaching keeps getting better, and I'm sure it's something you've talked to Kiefer about, trying to match guys and strategies and having a different game plan for different teams and systems. Paul Adey would know much more about that than me, but we've been really pleasantly intrigued by how the coaching has gone so far. So it's almost like there was no layoff, if I'm honest. The speed and the quality is right there. And as we've said before on this show, every year the Premier Sports Elite League gets better and better, and it seems to be going that way so far.
I think that because we've only seen Dundee and Fife so far, and Fife are struggling. Let's be honest. Fife's recruitment's maybe been a little bit, maybe not where they want it to be, and they'll maybe make some changes or whatever. But I think even looking at our good friend Omar Pasha, the changes he's made, maybe not on the fly, but the changes from game to game to game versus us, and seeing what we've done, seeing what he's done, and made the changes for the following night, and the speed that they're making changes. Yeah, the coaching it's really taken off.
You look at it, right? I mean, Kiefer's a great coach, but the way he played the game, he saw things through a different prism. So the ability of someone like Aaron Fox or Danny Stewart was a player. Aaron Fox was a general manager, a director of sport for Zagreb. So he's looking through different prisms. But I think the one thing I've noticed so far is that it's not just the level and the speed, it's the coaching is getting better. So you get found out pretty quickly if you haven't done your homework, if you haven't done your scouting, if you haven't done your video. So to me, something that used to be just more of a coach throwing a stick across the ice or the emotion or throwing a water bottle, that's gone. It's pure game planning. It's pure matching. It's homework. And I love that, because when I'm standing next to Paul, I can see his juices. His interest gets piqued when there's a line matching or there's an in-game change. I don't know if you remember 5-6 years ago, and even when Paul Adey won an Elite League title with you, it was very, very rare to see in-game changes of strategy. You try and hammer a square peg through a round hole. Now guys are changing the breakout. Guys will change the forecheck, and I think that just makes it exciting. There could be, 2 games in one, and I think someone like Omar Pasha is one really smart. Omar's always impressed me. When he was a player, he always had time for us, and he was always an interesting chat. When he was in Manchester with a friend of the show, Neil, the coach Russell, he proved his work rate, right? He proved his work ethic. And now I think he's really rounding into form, because remember, it was pretty tough. It's tough to be a player coach. I've always said that. You could be -3 and then you've got to go in and tell the guys they didn't do a good enough job. Has to be the toughest job in the past to be a player coach. So now he's rounding into form. I just think that whoever wins the Elite League, whoever wins the Challenge Cup, whoever wins the Premier Sports playoff final weekend or the Premier Sports Elite League title, it's going to come down to a little bit of coach having aces up the sleeve as well.
I think when you go back to Coach Adey there was an element, not of luck, but puck luck, whatever you want to call it. Whenever he came, we didn't have injuries, and he was able to run 3 lines, and he just ran them on and off. He didn't need the line match. It was up to others to try and compete with us. Same at the back end. He had Elfie and Brookwell came in and were outstanding together, and that league was over. That league was over Christmas, basically, that season. It hasn't really been done since, and there was an element of it was good coaching, it was good recruitment, but we had a bit of luck as well.
No, he's told me that before. I mean, they didn't have an injury, but they didn't have an injury until that Challenge Cup, and all of a sudden Murph was hurt, and I think Kiefer was banged up, and that was 2-legged Challenge Cup. They won the first leg of the Challenge Cup, but they were so banged up it got away from them. And then their next worst injury was heading into the playoff final weekend. Peaks was hurt, and Kiefer was definitely hurt because he walked in on one leg, and I thought, oh, this isn't great. So he said, we had no injuries. We won the Elite League in record time, and as you said, people had to match them and change their game plan because you guys were so good. And then all of a sudden the injuries came, and it just goes to show you that once injuries comes, it doesn't matter what you do, it's difficult to win. So yeah, he said that was a tale of 3 seasons in some ways. He feels like they could have had all of those titles, but he also said it's not easy. It's not easy to win in the Elite League. The Elite League is the Premier Sports Elite League is getting better year on year, but he will tell you there was a little bit of bad luck there. There was good luck up until Christmas and into January, February, and then once the Challenge Cup hit, there was some illness and some injury that certainly wreaked havoc. I mean, I'll never forget Kiefer walking in, and he was peg leg, right? And I just looked at him, and he kind of looked at me, and I knew, boy, oh boy, this is going to be tough. And it was, right? But you need your captain to be going. He wanted to go. He's still dressed. Peaks, I don't even think dressed. I don't think he could walk. So I guess the steam came out a little bit for Coach 80. He probably needed Angela Taylor on the bench to try and teach him a thing or two.
And I guess that, sorry, Paddy, just before we go, that just one last question. There's a bit more depth in goaltending now than what there perhaps was. You know, as you say, the second leg of Challenge Cup final, I think we had perhaps like a 5-goal lead or something going into it. Stephen Murphy's actually sick on the night.
Yeah.
You know, but he has to play kind of thing. And so unfortunate for us, it doesn't work out. But you look now, Besco, West have kind of split the 5 games, 3-2, whatever. And Dicko won't be found wanting when he's called upon, I'm sure, in the later stages of these groups in the Challenge Cup. So there's definitely, the league has improved. You know, we've gone to this 4 lines, maybe slightly more squeezed towards 3, but the goaltending depth's getting better too.
Well, it's a great point by you, and I think that comes down to coaching and being brave in your recruitment. 5 years ago, that wasn't done. You had an import goalie and a guy that you didn't want to play, or you let him play against, situations where he could win, or he came in the third period in a 5-goal lead or whatever. But look at Jared Scaldi, new to the league, right? Took a long time coming. He was hired before COVID and finally gets behind the Devil's bench. But he wanted 2 import goalies, right? And both Ciaran Cozen and Carruth have played. And both of them have played well. And Mack Carruth, from what I've seen in Champions Hockey League, is really going to be difficult this year. And Ciaran Cozen is good as well. So Jared Scaldi was willing to go that way so that he didn't have a situation perhaps like poor old 80 had back in that moment. But, I mean, that, again, is because a different mindset through a different prism and a breath of fresh air perhaps in Jared Scaldi. I've spoken to him. He's a great guy, but he's got some great ideas. And he's rare. If you look back on those situations, he'd be rare to bring in 2 import goalies.
Going to bring it briefly back now, just to wrap things up, Murph, with regards to the Elite League. And obviously, you're a busy man. You know, with you've talked about the CHL is happening tomorrow and Wednesday with the Cardiff Devils, before the Cardiff Devils face us on Saturday. And then, of course, we got the Premier Sports Elite League live game that's taking place on Sunday. You've got the international games. Tonight is the start of the NHL season. You know, hockey is coming back in a big way, not just for us, but on Premier Sports as well. And but if you give us a rundown of what we expect on Sunday from you guys on Premier Sports.
Yeah, it's really good. We're going to be on air at 5:30, face off at 6 o'clock in Coventry. And thanks to the Blaze, those games were supposed to be 5:30, but they've moved their face offs back to 6 so we can dodge some Premier League and also have a better sort of pregame show. So thanks to everyone who's made those things possible. But that's going to be a real good show, because I can't wait to see Bescarwani versus Mott. I mean, obviously, the Champions Hockey League continues on Free Sports. Don't forget, the Spengler Cup and things like that are still around as well over the Christmas period. The NHL starts. I mean, the doubleheader. I mean, the Tampa Bay Lightning will kick things off. But, I mean, it's exciting times, isn't it? I love this time of year. It's got that Christmas in the air, and that, the leaves are falling, and it's hockey season. And I guess it's not really hockey season until I see you guys. So it's good to see you here this evening. Although I don't know where Joel went. I put on the Red Sox hat for Joel, and he leaves. I don't know where Sis is. I don't know what I did to Kitchen, but I'll have to talk to him offline perhaps. But yeah, no, I think for us, it's all guns a-blazing. And I know Neil Russell used to take great pains in winding me up and making fun of "you're home for hockey" and his broken Canadian accent. But between Premier Sports and Free Sports, that's always been the goal. And I think we're back to where we want to be after the pandemic. We've got the NHL, we've got the Champions Hockey League, we've got the Premier Sports Elite League, we've got international. We'll be in Finland for the GB men's side. Things like the Spengler Cup, and there's always things that I try and add. My boss is driven demented with me asking for more and more and more. But I think, you're never going to please everybody. And the Premier Sports Elite League, the first thing is people say, oh, there's not enough games, and then there's not enough this or that. but we're doing the best we can. We're coming out of a pandemic, man, and we just signed our NHL deal, and people said, "Oh, I wish I'd known this a month ago." Well, we didn't know it a month ago. The part of a negotiation is they want more, we want to pay less, and it comes down to the wire. So people are funny. People are actually out there thinking you're holding on so that we'll buy NHL.TV and we'll buy Premiers. No, like we didn't know that the deal was signed. So I guess my message is what to expect of us is as much as we can show. And I look back to when I moved over here 15 years ago. I used to get so excited if there was one NHL game on TV a week or one highlight show on Sky a week from the Elite League. Now you can watch the Elite League every Sunday or every weekend almost. You can watch the NHL 2 games a night every night. You can watch women hockey with women pundits and women sideline reporters. I think we've done a good job, and this isn't me. I think the people above me and the people who I constantly natter at, they've done a real good job, and I think we really are getting to where we want to be as the home for hockey. So I hope people enjoy, and after a pandemic, we all need to have fun, laugh. We need to wind each other up and enjoy each other's company in an arena again. So I think we're almost there, lads, and I look forward to my first trip to the SSE Arena. I look forward to seeing Eaton and all the kids there. Blake, I hope I get to see Blake soon, man, because that's what it's all about, all the people that enjoy hockey. So to all of your viewers and listeners that have had a tough time during COVID, I guess the message is expect as much hockey as I can possibly get my bosses to put on the air. And if you see me, say hello, because I'd love to speak to anyone who's had a tough time, and hope to see you guys soon.
Big thanks to Murph. Always great chat. I know you enjoyed that chat, Davey. You could tell you enjoyed. We always enjoy having Murph on and having a good crack on.
Look, Murph is the kind of guy that you enjoy going for a beer with, because he'll talk hockey, and when he comes in, he never ever turns us down on the podcast. He's like
very good.
You WhatsApp him and you get an answer from him. God, he loves being on. He loves talking hockey, and he loves pushing.
Just to quickly point out that interview was done in very short notice. I sort of been a busy day for me, and just at the last minute, I thought we need to get Murph on, and bang, he was here.
It was fortunate he could find his Bo Sox hat so quickly, wasn't it?
Top boy.
It's the last time.
The lingo and all now, Bo Sox. I only
that's thanks, big Rounders guy. Yeah, it's the most
big Tigers fan.
It's the most I've liked Murph since we had a few beers with him after the playoffs in a Nottingham restaurant.
The orange and white one. Segue in there. Yeah,
nope.
Look, thanks to Mark. I love talking about. He's a hockey guy, and he talks so well. He talks so passionately about our product as well, and he's worked so hard. He's pushed so many doors. He's pushed so many buttons to get us on the air. And anyone that complains about 30 IHL games being on the season, well, they're mental.
Need to wind their neck in. Let's have a quick chat about these 2 games. I know, Davey, is not your favorite part of the show, but it is the first 2 league. Well, I'll go to Joel. They are the first 2 league games for the Belfast Giants, and the first teams that we've played that aren't Dundee or Fife. That Cardiff game, especially coming off the back of what will be a difficult game for them at home on Wednesday in the CHL, it's going to be a real challenge for the Giants.
Yeah, the Cardiff game, I think, you do have a very sage point there in that wider CHL argument that the Devils will surely have been the most tested team in the league at this point. And it remains to be seen whether it will contribute to fatigue or tiredness, or whether they'll come in and hit the ground running. Hockey players are used to playing multiple games in a week, and it could end up being a further challenge. It's so hard looking at the tables to get a kind of read on where these teams are at. You've got Cardiff have only played 2 games in the league, a win and an overtime loss, whereas they've 2 wins, an overtime win, and a loss in the Cup. Coventry have had a miserable start to the Challenge Cup. That one win at the weekend was their first in 4 games, but they currently sit second in the Elite League with 2 wins and an overtime loss. It's really hard to get a read on these teams because we just haven't seen much of them yet, and we've been in Challenge Cup land. But I think we can probably all agree that we're moving into a new level this weekend. I think from speaking to the coach after the game on Sunday that it's clear in the locker room that they're moving on to a different challenge, and the teams that they play will not be like the teams that they faced so far. And that's with all due respect to Dundee and to Fife. But they should be going in expecting a much more physical battle and teams to come at them, and maybe not just being as comfortable on the kill, maybe not moving the puck as easily on a power play. Teams are going to come at them this weekend, and I think it's the first real test for the Giants. And personally, I can't wait to see how it pans out. I can't wait to have some big league fixtures in Belfast.
Davey, what really good point from Murph, especially coming into both that and the Cardiff game and the Coventry game, is the standard in netminder that we're going to face in like the CJ Matt. And these are top level netminders who have already stood up. Mott last season, I did say last time we're going to call it last season, but Mott last season was excellent.
Yeah, look, I talked about this slightly earlier in the show at the end of the sort of analysis of the 5 games, and I'll talk about it again at the start of next week's show. But we talked about it with Murph. There's not an awful lot more to say. It's going to be a test for all the goaltenders. I expect Besco to go back to back for us. I would expect them to play both games this weekend, but it's just about getting off to a strong start here. Our penalty kill hasn't been overly tested. Our power play has been very, very good, certainly one line of it. So special teams are always going to be critical. Guys are still sussing out how these referees call games. I'm sure we'll probably have a different referee again now. We're down in South Wales rather than up in Scotland. But so guys will have to work out just how those refs call the games as well. But I've nothing really to say in this part of the show, mate.
I think what was needed to be said was said in a chat with Murph there, but I think we'll work our way through. Cardiff Devils against the Belfast Giants Saturday at 7 p.m. at the Viola Arena, and it'll also be live on what is now called Devils TV. It's a new rebranding of Icetime TV. Devils TV. You can catch the webcast if you're not taking the trip over to Wales, and then on Sunday 6 p.m. Coverage starts at 5:30. Coventry against the Belfast Giants in the Coventry Sky Dome, live on Premier Sports. Both games taking place in the Premier Sports Elite League this weekend. Gentlemen, any other business?
Joel, the only bit of business I have is that I'd like to thank everyone who contributed to the CHL shirt we put up for Smith's unfortunate accident at the house. So we raised £215, which I'm going to put in the Just Giving. I'm going to give Smith the 15 names to get him to do the draw, just as a bit, just to let him box that out. So thanks to everyone who contributed there. It was tragedy what happened, and I'm just glad that everybody walked out of that without any damage to life or limb. Possessions can be replaced. Yes, of course, you're sentimental and there's things that you'll miss and you're sad about it, but main thing is everyone came out in one piece, and we're glad that we could do just a very little tiny bit to help them out.
Yeah, it's been a long show, so I don't really have anything. Just to follow up on Davey, whenever they're needed, the Belfast Giants fan base rallies for their own, and we've seen it time and again. We're only 4 weeks into this season after a very, very long layoff. People are in tough financial situations, but I've seen so much charity and so much goodwill around this fan base from your efforts, Davey, with the sort of pledge tying into Rainer's appeal from obviously Smitty, and you have an update on that apart from Besco costing me 20 quid.
When I get the stats, you're already 20 quid in the poo. I will when I'm doing a spreadsheet at the minute. I have the list. The list is incredible. Actually, it's sitting on my desk here. The list of what people have pledged is I'd be surprised if we're not at over £100 already, and 3 weeks in the season. So multiply that by 30 weeks, 10. We could be looking at £1,000 or more here, which would be brilliant for Rainer's cause. So I'll give a bit of an update on the Twitter tomorrow when I get it done.
And if Besco could chuck a few in, that would be great.
Wait a minute.
No,
what's it gonna do?
Nice. It's obviously it's fantastic. Just the generosity while people are experiencing their own difficult circumstances, no doubt around the fan base. It's been incredible, and we're only just a few weeks in, and I know there's going to be more to come. So, tip of the cap to everybody who's involved.
Here. And on that note, we'll wrap things up. Cardiff against Belfast, Saturday, 7 p.m. at the Viola Arena. Catch that on Devils TV with Gareth. And Coventry Blaze against the Belfast Giants, Sunday, 6 p.m. Coverage starts at 5:30 on Premier Sports with Mr. Murphy and Paul Eadie and Chris Ellis.
It's not him anyway.
It's not him anyway. And that's on coverage starts at 5:30, face off at 6 on Premier Sports. Big thanks to Kieran Long, to Murph, to Mark Garside, Jeff Mason, JJ Piccinich, Griffin Reinhart, to Simon for getting all those, and to you two gents in front of us, as always, Great to see you and good to talk hockey. Davey just showing the on YouTube. If you're watching, he's showing that broken leg. It's no longer broken. It is now fully fledged, and he is back playing football. I don't know, the man who will never ever retire. He's back. He's back playing the game.
We're very proud of you, Toblerone boots.
And on that note, wherever you are this weekend, we hope you enjoy your hockey, and we'll catch you here next time on A View from the Bridge.